We are rolling.
Rolling.
You're watching Mindful Love with Justin and Janie. They're helping couples keep it real in REALationship. In this video, they're covering the R.A.D love deeds.
Hello, everyone. Janie is here, the mindfulness coach. I have the pleasure of being here with Justin, the change artist, who also happens to be my partner in life.
And crime.
Well, less crimes. One of the things that I do as a mindfulness coach is help people learn how to have healthy, real relationships with themselves, like a healthy relationship with themselves, and helping them to understand what understanding means and intimacy and what it means to be connected to, our feelings and all this, our heart and all these things that are very important for us to dial into and use and understand, right? So, but before we can we have to know how to communicate that stuff with ourselves and really know what makes us feel safe, what makes us feel happy, what makes us feel not good. And that's a process. And Justin and I will touch a little bit on I wanted to do a video on what is unconditional love. And then I also wanted to do a video on the R.A.D love deeds. REALationship, when I say it like that, is it has the REAL part in it. And to be real
is to be responsible, empathetic, authentic, accountable, and loyal. And
is to be fully yourself, to be fully alive while doing this crazy thing we call partnership, unionship, intimacy, And a lot of people don't know how to have that or do that with themselves, but they desire to be in a partnership of some kind. So I have learned the difficult way, the hard way. I studied a lot of different things. I've been in a lot of different relationships. And this is the first time in my life that I am with a man who is willing and able, learning to be able and was willing.
Note the hesitation.
It's been a struggle. However, you've popped out on the other side, right? Okay, cool. So we're going to touch on what that is, what it means for Justin to be on the other side. And because without him going through the personal growth work that he's been going through and healing all of his traumas and everything, which is what having a relationship with yourself is about. It's like, how do you care for yourself and love yourself? That's one of the ways you do it, is to heal the things that are keeping you from having mindful love, safe love, healthy love. If you've never had point of reference for what that looks like, and we're certainly not taught how to have all the communication skills and understanding our differences at school. So we as adults have to then reparent ourselves, learn these things, and then hopefully, right? Not hopefully, but bring that person into your life so that you can flex these muscles and see, is it really possible? Is it possible, one, to love myself unconditionally? And it seems even more difficult to then to love somebody else unconditionally. And I have this safe communication method and the R.A.D love deeds and all these things to help couples have the kind of relationship that Justin and I are establishing. So I would love to give you the mic and maybe touch on unconditional love.
It's in how well you're willing and able to honor yourself and take care of yourself to a point that I'm willing to be with you as a partner, because I take care of myself a certain way and I honor my truth a certain way. And I don't really want my boundaries being overstepped or any lines being crossed in the relationship that I'm going to be in forever. And it takes a lot of work and time to identify that stuff in yourself. And then it takes practice being able to communicate that to someone, because as much in common as you can have, one of the biggest differences could be the way you communicate in different contexts, the way you communicate in conflict, the way you communicate when you're just making plans, you're going over plans for the day or the week, and if you don't take the time to pay attention to those details in each other's communication, you can really start to hit some speed bumps, but because the love is unconditional, that stuff almost seems to jump out at you. these little things that can be fixed, these minor details, these things that men oftentimes come off as annoying when your woman brings them up. They're like, oh, why, that's such a tiny detail. Yes, exactly. And you missed it. She pointed it out to you, man. She's your partner. But it's hard to see, and it's hard to even feel that when you're not in the right place as a man, when your sense of security and your sense of self comes from power, strength, and control. So that again also leads to men creating two different lives. They have their work life where they can flex strength, power, and control, and all the stuff that is their masculinity, and then at home where they can be soft and gentle and sweet and embrace more of the feminine side and their imagination and stuff. So those are the differences for me. The differences for me are in the outcomes they
produce. And how did the type of love that you first experienced as a child shape and mold what conditional and unconditional love are? Because most people think that their parents love them unconditionally.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you come to realize, oh shit, there were a ton of conditions in that love, which is why I don't feel safe in love. And that's why I want to be unconditional love, but I don't know how.
So yeah, and the question is, what has it been like for me? Or
well, like, how was the love that you saw as a child show you, and when was that realization that it was not unconditional?
It's kind of reversed in that it showed me more what not to do and what was actually toxic attachment and codependency and things like that. And as far as realizing it and when, it came in waves. Whenever I would, experience something in a relationship of my own, whether it was a personal relationship with a partner or a personal relationship with family, I wasn't getting the results I wanted, but because I was an adult, I was at a certain age, I understood the world a certain way. I was thinking for myself. So I thought, right? Well, I'm still operating within, but anyway, I was thinking for myself. And I remember just reaching different points in my life with different lessons after making different mistakes where this thing isn't working. Everything I'm doing is not working. And thankfully, I'm the type of individual that's open to new experiences. Let's find what works and get good at that. And I'm okay, letting go of old habits and dropping old things like that. And
some things, because there were certain things that you did hold on to for dear life.
And that's where I talk about it coming in stages, like at different levels where, let's say I wanted more time from my partner, right? And so I would go as far as maybe calling in sick to just spend some time with them. But I never communicated that. I never told them, oh, I want to spend time with you, because the conditional love I was used to seeing was I'm supposed to be like gone. So because I'm home, you should appreciate that just because I'm home. Like that should communicate it.
This enough. Like entitlement and this like attitude and
this world should be operating a certain way. What's wrong with you people,
Ooh, yeah.
And then I realized, and then I started wanting to, and then when I communicated it, because of the strength, power, and control, that was my definition of masculinity. It was more authoritative. It was like I would say things like, "Why don't you want to spend time with me?" Which is already a presupposition, which pins, it forces. It's really unfair because it forces a person to look for the answer to your question, but
they're not even doing that in the first place.
It forces their mind to automatically assume that they don't want to spend time with you. So you're forcing their mind to fill a gap that wasn't there until you presented it.
Horrible.
And not everybody.
That's manipulation.
It is, and not everybody can catch that. But not everybody knows that's what they're doing.
Right. That's unconscious.
I did, which was not good. And good at the same time though, because I was able to change it.
Yeah, because you changed it. So I get that.
So it just came in waves. So it was okay. Now I need to express what I want. What do I want? How do I want love? I want love. How do I want that? That's where I had to learn the 5 love languages and let go of a lot of things. So it just came in waves. And the more I learned and the more I made progress towards a healthier kind of love, is the more I realized that how far removed I really was from it, and how long far. just everything. There's not enough words, not enough adjectives to describe the journey from traumatic bondage with people, not just friends or family members, but you end up creating bonds with people around you based on traumatic experiences. You start, joking with people a certain way, and that agitates the nervous system. Maybe spooking them a certain way is a way you do it. Maybe when you're roughhousing, putting one of your best buddies in a headlock and nearly choking them out, but letting them go because you care about them is something. Those are all traumatic experiences, and because of the definition of masculinity, they're enforced in all the best ways to make sure that that's what you grow up believing what love and bonding is. And
but there's a little
unfortunately,
bit of pain with it.
yeah. And from a male perspective, I completely understand it. I completely understand the alpha dog and flexing that in the right setting and stuff like that. What I didn't understand was how it leaks out and how it affected all my other relationships outside of the ones I had with, the males in my life.
Yeah.
So.
And then you were in the military, so really you had like that whole element
Mhm.
added to the societal, cultural, religious, like patriarchal toxicity.
That turned it up to 11.
Yeah,
For sure.
well, I don't know, maybe even a little bit more than that.
Okay, 13.
A strong 11.
You hear that?
Anyway, but you're strong mentally, emotionally, and spiritually now. And that's because for the last 2 years, you've dedicated yourself to
being better.
Stepping into the new identity that feels worthy and deserving and comfortable with pleasure and peace and abundance.
Boom.
And when you are working from that state, well, that's going to come into your love life. And I thank him greatly all the time. That's one of the things on the R.A.D love dates. We could kind of, go into that now if you're down for it. There's a lot of little pieces to R.A.D. So respect, appreciate, and desire. These are healthy, relationship habits, mindful habits that create a sense of safety and security in your partnership. When we feel respected, appreciated, and desired, it's easier for us to trust each other and feel comfortable. And I think that's what makes REALationship unique, is there's a level of authenticity. That's where that A sort of comes in. The realness that you feel in this and that I feel in this allows us to breathe. And then we are able to connect mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, which makes it more delicious, makes our connection more delicious, and makes it more holistic. And that's why I love it so much.
Cool.
Okay, so anyway, you make me feel rad. He makes me feel rad, which, by the way, play into like the ingredients that make unconditional love possible. And I like earlier you mentioned healthy boundaries, because people think unconditional love means you could just treat me however, and that is not the case. So, okay, with that being said, well, that'll be a different video when we talk about healthy boundaries. Respected. So there's a few things that fall under respected that you guys can do your best to strive to aim for on a daily basis. Okay. And you do this, and that will help you thrive for the long haul. Okay. Because unhealthy relationship habits are going to naturally occur. Okay. So we have to be proactive and heal all that garbage that we've taken on from our generational imprints.
Yep.
And behaviors that do not serve communication and are not part of REALationship and unconditional love. Okay, so that's that. Okay, honor your word. Honor your word. That's one of the 4 agreements. If you haven't read the book, 4 Agreements, be impeccable with your word. That's us when we say we're going to do something, having our actions and our words match up as much as they possibly can. And sometimes we're going to say something and then we're going to fall short. We're not going to be able to honor it and commit to what we said. But to have enough humility and accountability to come and respect to come say, hey, I'm sorry, or giving them a heads up and understanding if they're a little bit disappointed, that you can kind of hold space for that. Lately, you have been very good about honoring your word.
Yeah.
How do you feel I do in that area?
No, you hold up. Yeah, pretty solid.
Yeah.
You're really good about, you know who you are. You know who you are, and you know what you can deliver. So you never overpromise.
Oh, okay. That's great. Okay. Be kind. That's the next thing. Be kind with your words.
I had to work a lot on that one. That was one of my big ones. That one was, oh joy. I mean, how would you describe it for me? That one was probably one of those things that I held on to for a long time was the language. There was a part of me that really kind of wanted her to toughen up in that way, get a little bit of a thick skin, develop some sort of a callus to it. But that was before I realized the impact of the words, even when you're joking. But things like that, the communication is like, oh, I don't want that. That's what it was. I don't want that anymore. Yeah.
So yeah, try not to hit below the belt. Y'all know what those below the belt things are. And if you have not established what they are, then you need to tell each other that so that you do your best, no matter how angry you get, that you stay away from those. And if it comes out, then you need to atone, okay? And you can't just be doing it all the time and then be like, I'm working on, it's like, you got to show some effort.
For sure.
Respect is also about doing your best not to bash family and friends. And a lot of times they might say something about their family or friends, and it's best not to chime in. If they ask for your advice, now they're opening the door, then you can maybe tell them how you feel. If it is impacting your relationship, which oftentimes toxic family relationships and toxic friendships can come into play and start bleeding in, that is when there needs to be a conversation, and in that regard, it's important to bring it up. But just to sit there and constantly, if you had a friend that I didn't like, to every time you go and hang out with them, you come back and you got to hear me run my mouth about this guy. And then you're sitting there defending your friend all the time. It's like, what's the point? Are you going to keep being friends with them? Yeah. Okay. Are you going to break up with him? No. Okay. Well, stop creating more stress. Right. Anything you want to say about that? Okay. Show your support.
Actually, pause. Yes.
Okay.
So one of the themes you'll find through all of these is that a lot of them come down to really just knowing yourself, like knowing how to honor yourself, knowing when a certain feeling comes up in your body that you need to step away, or that's time for pause, because you're at your point of no return, and if you cross that threshold, bad things will happen that you're going to regret, and you might be with a partner who's not going to tolerate it. So you really want to be able to be mindful of what gets you there and when you are there, because a lot of these things are going to sound fairly simple, and they are if you're aware of those things in yourself. What are your triggers? How do you respond to your triggers? And what's happening in your body that tells you, oh shit, I'm triggered, partner, and I don't want to go off on you. I need space. Give me some space. I want to respect all we got going on, and the things that are going to come out of my mouth and this body are not going to be very respectful. Please evacuate my aura. Yeah.
Yeah, and see, that's being real. And by the way, that is the S of S.A.F.E, seek the truth. But you have to understand how to decipher data and understand how to pick up on things, specific things, like what emotions am I feeling? What am I really thinking? Why is this really happening? Like, gather all of that, emotionally regulate, and then, come back and discuss what's happening. But I like that more than trying to pretend it's not there and then get mad at me for feeling a certain way.
Why don't you just give me some space?
Yeah, so that's practice too. But once you practice it and flex it enough, it does become second nature. It is our natural way of being with each other now. And we've done a lot of work to like
high five.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Show your support. That was the next thing on respected. How would you say we are with that? Because I feel like we're both really awesome cheerleaders for each other.
We were talking about it the other day, where I feel like you don't let me have a bad day. And it's not so much that she's that coach that's riding you all the time. She doesn't always realize when maybe I'm slipping into something in the kitchen and I'm starting to go into those negative thought loops, and maybe they're a little bit depressing, and I'm starting to feel a little down and out, and she'll call out and say something or ask for something that interrupts that. And then because she's so playful and jovial, it makes me laugh, and boom, okay, cool, I'm having a good day. And these things happen throughout the day. Now, in that moment where she interrupted it, I could get frustrated and say, hey, I got something on my mind. I'm trying to think, right? But because I know myself and know that I don't want those thoughts running through my mind, I accept it, and I accept her support in that way, in making sure that I stay in a healthy frame of mind, because I've accepted that she's a lot better at it than I am, in terms of consistency and just living there all the time. And so I had to learn to see it as support, and I do now. And
Yay.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. And also too, I like that you said accepting that I've been working on it and practicing it and using it and living it longer than you, but that doesn't make me better than you. Okay. Acknowledge bids for attention. So like sometimes in partnership, you might have, maybe you've made like a new flower bed and your partner gets home and you're like, oh my God, Greg, come check out this new flower bed, and you really put a lot of effort into it. And he's just like not in a positive state of mind, and he doesn't receive you well. He's dismissive. And that really hurts us. It's like a little kid that gets excited about like, mommy, look at this awesome dinosaur I drew and I got a 5 stars. And she's like, yeah. It's like just shooing him away. It's like, you're a burden. You're bothering me. I'm not as interested. It's not as exciting as you're making it seem, kid. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's that energy. Do you want to say anything about acknowledgement for bids?
Yeah, just knowing that, like, the best way I can describe it is the way it was for me. And it's just really let yourself get lost in their world.
Yeah.
You have your own going on, you know what it takes for yours, and just let yourself get lost in theirs. Forget about winning or being right or being better or being awesome or coming off a certain way, and just let her be all the things you see her as in your head. Just let go for a minute, breathe for a minute.
Yeah, because this is the thing, guys. It's all about balance, okay? It's about give and take and reciprocity. There are times where he goes off on a tangent on bikes. He loves bike riding and he knows so much about bikes, and just, it's incredible, right? His knowledge and his passion and interest in this field. Well, that's not like, I love riding bikes, but that's not like my jam, like it's his jam. But I can get enthralled into what it is that he's saying. And then when I start to feel like he's losing me, I'm like, hey babe, I only got like 1 more minute of like bike talk. Luckily, Justin and I have a lot of the same interests. So like what fascinates me a lot of times is like stuff related to nature, but he digs nature. So if I'm going to be like, oh my God, check out this caterpillar, he's not like, yeah, it's a caterpillar. It's a caterpillar.
I go grab a leaf. Let's see if we can get it on the leaf.
Yeah, can we get it on the leaf? You want to bring it home? We're like little kids in that way. Last thing on respect is, and of course you all might think of other things, okay? But this is what I have. Listen. Active listening. Compassionate listening, learning how to listen, especially when maybe what I need to hear from him is how he feels I may have disrespected him or hurt his feelings. We need to clarify some things, but I need to be able to listen to why he came to this feeling and this thought, or listening and being quiet. Just listening for your pain. Let's work through this together.
Thank you for watching Mindful Love with Justin and Janie. Subscribe to Rise Above TV's YouTube and podcast channel for more mindful content.